The desert's surface temperature reaches critical levels, creating a hostile combat zone for all active biological units. A greater Roadrunner patrols this sector, utilizing its superior speed and agility to secure high-value targets. Its physiology is optimized for rapid acceleration, allowing it to traverse the terrain with absolute tactical precision.
Concealed within a fortified rock crevice, a lethal ambush predator detects the vibrations of the approaching bird.
The king cobra exits its subterranean bunker, raising its head to assess the threat level immediately.
Visual lock is established on the agile avian target, initiating a high-stakes confrontation on the sand.
The Roadrunner halts its advance instantly, recognizing the signature profile of a venomous adversary in its path. The defensive protocols are activated as the reptile expands its hood to increase its apparent physical size profile.
The bird initiates a flanking maneuver, circling the target to test reaction times and identify defensive gaps.
Tracking the rapid movements requires maximum focus, as the reptile must conserve energy for a single strike.
The feints are employed to draw out a premature strike, exposing the reptile's vulnerable head to a counterattack. The Cobra launches a high-velocity strike, aiming to deliver a neurotoxic payload directly into the bloodstream.
Reflexes, honed by evolution, allow the bird to evade the lethal bite with mere millimeters to spare.
Counter-offensive measures are immediate, utilizing the beak to deliver a concussive blow to the cranial region. The impact stuns the reptile, disrupting its sensory input and forcing a re-evaluation of the tactical situation. Realizing the tactical disadvantage, the Cobra initiates a strategic withdrawal to the safety of the rock formation. The avian victor secures the territory, having successfully neutralized the threat without sustaining any physical damage today.
Mission complete, the Roadrunner resumes its patrol of the sector, seeking new targets in the scorching heat.
Across the ocean, the African grasslands present a different battlefield, requiring an alternative set of combat-specialized adaptations.
The secretary bird patrols the open plains, a specialized hunter designed specifically for engaging venomous ground targets.
Its legs are elongated and reinforced with thick scales, acting as natural armor against potential biological weaponry.
Advanced visual sensors detect movement within the vegetation, signaling the presence of a concealed hostile entity nearby. A king cobra breaks cover, adopting an aggressive posture to deter the avian predator from continuing its advance. The bird responds by expanding its wingspan, confusing the reptile and presenting a difficult target to strike.
A standoff ensues between the ruler of the sky and the terrestrial Venom master, tension peaking rapidly.
The reptile launches a preemptive strike, aiming for the lower limbs to incapacitate the avian's mobility. Agility allows the bird to sidestep the attack, causing the serpent to overextend and expose its spine. Retaliation is delivered via a precision kick, utilizing force equivalent to 5 times the bird's body weight.
The concussive force of the impact slams the reptile into the earth, momentarily disabling its motor functions.
Follow-up strikes are executed immediately, ensuring the target remains neutralized before it can recover and counter.
The threat is eliminated, demonstrating the effectiveness of the secretary bird's specialized anatomical weaponry in this environment.
Resource acquisition is successful, converting a dangerous adversary into a high-caloric meal for the victor.
The theater of war shifts to the wetlands, where visibility is low and the terrain favors the aquatic.
A massive python navigates the waterways, a stealth operative seeking prey within the dense aquatic vegetation.
Lying in wait, an armored crocodile monitors the disturbance, prepared to defend its territory with lethal force.
The constrictor transitions to the mud bank, inadvertently entering the strike zone of the submerged ambush predator.
The crocodile initiates the engagement with an explosive surge, aiming to clamp its jaws onto the intruder. And defensive reflexes trigger the python to coil immediately, attempting to restrict the jaw function of the attacker.
A chaotic melee ensues, creating a vortex of mud and water as the two titans grapple for dominance.
The constrictor applies immense pressure, seeking to compromise the respiratory system of the heavily armored reptile. And
the crocodile executes a rotational maneuver, attempting to disorient the snake and break the suffocating hold.
Visibility drops to zero as the violent struggle churns the substrate into a thick, blinding slurry.
Physical exhaustion begins to set in for both combatants, reducing the intensity of the kinetic engagement. Recognizing the stalemate, the python releases its grip, acknowledging the superior armor of the aquatic adversary.
The crocodile retreats to the deep water, establishing a perimeter that the exhausted snake cannot breach.
Deep impressions in the mud serve as the only evidence of the violent struggle that yielded no victor.
As daylight fades, the operational parameters shift again, favoring those adapted for low-light stealth engagements.
Undeterred by previous failures, the python continues its patrol, seeking a softer, more vulnerable target.
A large porcupine forages nearby, seemingly unaware of the silent predator approaching from the rear flank.
The snake positions itself for a strike, misidentifying the slow-moving rodent as an easy meal. Sensory hairs detect the proximity of the threat, prompting immediate activation of the primary defensive system. The rodent rotates to present its rear flank, deploying a wall of sharp, keratinous spikes.
Committed to the attack, the python launches forward, unable to abort the sequence despite the defensive shift.
The strike connects with the defensive perimeter, resulting in immediate trauma to the reptile's facial region. The barbed quills embed deeply, causing severe pain, and forcing the predator to abandon the engagement instantly.
The defender departs the area with deliberate slowness, confident in the impenetrability of its natural armor.
Defeated and damaged, the python retreats into the shadows to recover from the failed tactical acquisition.
These encounters highlight the diverse array of offensive and defensive strategies utilized in the natural world.
Speed provides the ultimate advantage in the desert, allowing engagement on the terms of the agile.
In the grasslands, brute force and precision striking capability determine the victor of terrestrial disputes.
The swamp demands heavy armor and sheer power to survive the crushing forces of aquatic combat.
While passive defense systems prove that aggression is not always the most effective path to survival.
As the heat dissipates, the battlefield falls silent, awaiting the renewal of conflict with the sunrise.
Analysis confirms that speed is the primary countermeasure against neurotoxic biological weaponry in open terrain.
Conversely, heavy armor plating effectively neutralizes constriction tactics, forcing a stalemate in close-quarters combat.
The evolutionary arms race continues to push these species toward extreme physical and tactical specialization.
For the avian predators, the ability to retreat to the vertical axis ensures safety during rest periods.
The aquatic predators simply vanish beneath the surface, remaining an unseen threat to all who approach.
The defeated predator must adapt and relocate, driven by the biological imperative to feed and survive.
Each day brings a reset of the tactical board, with life and death hanging in the balance.
Target selection is critical. Engaging lower threat prey conserves energy for unavoidable high threat encounters.
Even the most dominant combatants are vulnerable when fulfilling basic biological needs like hydration.
Thermal regulation requires exposure, a period of calculated risk where defensive readiness is slightly compromised.
Secure fortifications are essential for the survival of species lacking high-speed evasion capabilities.
In this ecosystem, nothing is wasted. The aftermath of combat fuels the lower levels of the chain.
Aerial scavengers monitor the battlefield continuously, waiting to capitalize on the failures of the active combatants.
And intelligence plays a crucial role. The ability to learn from previous engagements increases long-term survivability.
Recovery processes allow for the regeneration of physical damage, preparing the organism for future conflicts. Environmental variables such as weather patterns can drastically alter the tactical advantage of specific species.
Moisture facilitates silent movement for the serpent, increasing the success rate of stealth-based ambushes.
However, the defensive capability of the porcupine remains absolute, regardless of the atmospheric conditions present.
From the arid deserts to the humid swamps, the universal laws of combat and survival apply equally.
The Roadrunner remains the master of the open desert, a symbol of agility, overcoming lethal force.
The secretary bird stands as the sentinel of the plains, maintaining dominance through superior reach and power.
The crocodile rules the waterways, an ancient armored tank that fears no intrusion into its domain.
Even the python, despite its failures, remains a formidable apex predator within its specific niche.
The transmission of these tactical skills to the next generation is vital for species continuity.
Parental protection provides a temporary shield, allowing the vulnerable youth to develop their own defensive capabilities.
The landscape itself is shaped by these interactions, a dynamic system driven by the flow of energy.
The biological weaponry developed over millions of years is the result of relentless evolutionary pressure.
Just as complex are the countermeasures. The armor and agility evolved to neutralize those very weapons.
It is a perpetual cycle of adaptation, where every offensive innovation is met with a defensive response.
In this arena, there are no second chances. A single mistake results in immediate termination of the unit.
Survival is the only metric of success, and these champions have proven their worth on the battlefield.
The quiet confidence of the defended often outlasts the aggressive posturing of the predator in the end. This is the reality of the natural world, a place of beauty defined by brutal, uncompromising conflict. We have witnessed the strategies, the weapons, and the will to survive that defines these creatures.
The war for survival never ends. It only pauses briefly before the next engagement begins again.
The heat of the battle fades, but the instinct to fight remains encoded in every single cell.
This concludes our tactical analysis of the animal kingdom's most intense and lethal daily confrontations.